I guess I have to go back to my own upbringing and my own background. I was raised in a Jewish family here in Portland at Temple Beth Israel. And I married a Portland product, also raised in a Jewish family in a little more traditional way than I was. And we both went to Brandeis Camp Institute as college students, and not together, I might add. And while we were there, we developed a way of looking at how we wanted to create our own Jewish home. And so we've always had a pretty, I don't know if intense is the right word, active Jewish home where Judaism is part of our daily experience. I'm trained as a teacher, that's my background, and as my kids went off to school and became involved in other things, I became involved with the Oregon Board of Rabbis Introduction to Judaism class, which in Portland is a class offered by almost all the rabbis in the community as a prerequisite for conversion study. It's really a fabulous graduate level class in all the things about Judaism. And I became very involved in that class as their facilitator, administrator, and was helping people, for the most part, on their journey to Judaism who were not Jewish. And along about that time, or actually prior to that time, our sons and then our daughter all became engaged and then married to people to whom Judaism was not part of their background. One of the three in-law children became Jewish before the engagement and the marriage, but we were dealt the hand of having our children intermarry, and that was a hand that came to two people very much involved in the Jewish community, not only in the synagogue, but in organizational work locally, and my husband nationally. Very visible in the Jewish community, and within the space of 3 weeks, both of our boys became engaged to people who had not been born Jewish. And as I looked at it then, and as I look at it now from a distance, I believe God dealt us that hand so that we could respond as positive role models of acceptance. My boys chose wonderful girls whom I love very much. And 2 years later, my daughter chose a man whom we love very much, who did not have Judaism as part of their background. They all embraced who our children were. They all embraced who we were. They all had a great deal of respect for who we were Jewishly. And as I said, one of them became Jewish. But I believed then, and I believe now, that they enriched our Jewish tapestry by what they brought to it. As it happens, none of them were actively practicing a different faith at the time or even now, and all of them agreed to raise their children Jewish. But nevertheless, this was an adjustment. It wasn't how I had planned it was going to work. And but again, they married wonderful human beings who loved my children, which was my primary and most important requirement for in-law children, as if I had anything to say about it. So that was one factor. The fact that I was working with non-Jews on their journey to Judaism was another. And the book came about because, two reasons actually. My husband was facing open heart surgery, and the children, my daughter was living abroad, she couldn't come home, but the boys were coming. One boy was here and one boy was coming home from Illinois. And his wife said, "What will I do, God forbid, if something happens? I've never been to a Jewish funeral and I won't know what's expected of me." Thank God that was not the result of the surgery. But it occurred to me that she needed to know. And along about the same time, or a little bit earlier, my other daughter-in-law, who became Jewish, had been with her family to her parents' home for Easter dinner. And Easter typically falls during Passover. And she said, we had a lovely dinner, but my mother just doesn't remember one year to the next what we can and cannot eat. And there's no reason why she should. It's not her heritage. But it occurred to me that those questions they were asking were not unique to them or to their parents. And I felt that I was in a good position to write a book that would explain to the non-Jewish in-laws and people new to Judaism, or people like my husband's paralegal, or my children's college roommate, or whoever it was that had close proximity to the Jewish experience without having the background. So I wrote a book called Welcome to the Family, Opening the Doors to the Jewish Experience. And my target was the non-Jewish in-laws, but it really has been a good book for Jews looking to reclaim their heritage as well. And the bottom line is, it's a comfortable, non-judgmental book that really does open the doors. And it's the book I wrote that I wanted folks to keep on the cookbook shelf in their kitchen, so if they were invited to my house for dinner, they could read it real quickly and not be embarrassed about what they did. Or if they were invited to a bar mitzvah or a bat mitzvah, they would know what was appropriate attire, what's an appropriate gift, when to arrive, because it's usually not the time it says on the invitation, and other things that are unique to us that they might not understand. So that's how I came to write the book. After the book came out, and I was no longer working for the Board of Rabbis Introduction to Judaism class after 8 years, the Mother Circle came to Portland. It's been in Portland for the last 4 years. We're embarking on our 5th year here. And the Mother Circle is an incredible program that came out of the Jewish Outreach Institute of New York. And that institute's purpose is to try to do outreach and welcome people who join the Jewish family through intermarriage, through conversion, by association, whatever. And let these folks know that the door is open to them and we welcome them. We want to help them on their journey. And my own personal philosophy about the Jewish experience is, you don't have to do the whole thing. You take what works for you on your terms, not necessarily on your mother-in-law's terms or on your partner's terms or on the rabbi's terms or the community's terms. And by the way, I do that as well. It's true my husband and I do a lot more than many people do, many Jewish folks, but we take what works for us and we make it work so that it has meaning for us and our family. So one of my theses as I work with this Mother Circle group is to encourage women, and Mother Circle is for women of young children who are on their journey to Judaism or who are associated with Judaism. There is certainly no persuasion to convert or anything of that sort. It's designed to increase their comfort level with the Jewish experience. And these are women who have agreed to raise their children Jewish. For the most part, they have Jewish partners. Some of them don't. Some of them are just drawn to Judaism. Many of their children attend Jewish day school or Jewish religious school. But these are women who want to feel more comfortable with the experience. And one of the fringe benefits is they find each other and they become comfortable with each other. Some of them have gone on to conversion. But the curriculum, which is a 16-week curriculum, is designed to talk about the holidays, to talk about God, to talk about Jewish ritual, Jewish life cycle events, to answer questions, make them feel comfortable, and honestly to give them a place to dump if they need to dump, and many of them do, and to help them understand that the Jewish community is an incredible resource, as is the Jewish experience. And so they have resources to draw on. One of the things that I've brought to the course that is not part of its curriculum is that we use 20 to 30 minutes of each 2-hour session to bring in someone from the community, one of our co-sponsors or somebody who, for example, represents the Jewish Day School, or who represents the Jewish Center, who represents some of the synagogues, or who represents PJ Library, a wonderful opportunity to get free books for children that come on every other month basis to children under the age of 6 to your home. There are just incredible resources within our community. Community is just a wonderful, wonderful part of the Jewish experience. So what I try to do is give these moms a piece of our community and an honest, open welcome to the Jewish experience, in the hopes that they will find some of the jewels and treasures I have found, and that it will be a meaningful experience to them and help them raise their children to be active members of our community when they grow up. And I guess that's basically the ball of wax, the whole ball of wax.